I'm Sylvia Johnson, 30 years old, a company employee, and I just got divorced recently. The reason for the divorce was my ex-husband's affair, and to top it off, it was with a college friend of mine. I'll never forget the despair I felt when I found out, but those days seemed to last forever. While he was abroad on a business trip, I was cleaning his room and found a completed divorce form and a marriage certificate. Well, look at that, he was really preparing, not just talking. All the weight I had been carrying fell off my shoulders, and I couldn't help but smile. I signed the divorce papers right away and dashed to the court. The divorce and marriage certificates. Both were accepted without any problems, and I became single again, while my ex-husband became someone else's. Back home, I rode the momentum and started decluttering. Unnecessary items went to the garbage, and I packed what I needed in boxes and suitcases to be picked up by a courier. Once I caught my breath, I reached out to a certain person. "Yes, please, that was your wish, wasn't it?" A triumphant, cheerful voice came from the other side of the phone. Hearing that voice, I smiled again. My ex-husband and I met as business partners. Our companies were collaborating on a joint project, and we were both selected as members of the team. Initially, we were just colleagues, but we had the chance to go on a business trip together, and since we both liked drinking, we hit it off quickly. In no time at all, we grew closer, and after the project ended, we started dating. Both of us were in sales and traveled frequently, even though we worked for different companies. Despite this, we made time for each other, built our relationship gradually, and as a result, we had our wedding on my 29th birthday. While we were planning the wedding, I happened to see his guest list. I noticed a familiar name there. It was the name of Rita Green, a friend from college. "Hey, this Ms. Green, she's from your company?" "Yeah, she transferred to my department after that project." "By the way, she mentioned she went to the same university as you, Sylvia, do you know her?" Actually, we were in the same department, but we haven't really met since graduation, and I don't even know her contact info." "Oh, I see. She's a nice girl, always smiling, really attentive to details." At that moment, I think my face froze without expression. Listening to him, I remembered my college days. Rita and I met in a language class after entering university. I had come up from an affiliated high school with a few male and female friends, and one of the guys had approached Rita's group, who were gathered among other girls. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but in hindsight, Rita, who epitomized the queen bee from an all-girls school, probably wasn't amused by our friendly mixed-gender group, as we were just coincidentally in the same language class and not really a group. She quickly made her way in and got the spot next to one of my guy friends. Since I was taking a different course than Rita, our classes rarely overlapped, so I didn't see her much, but my close friends from the affiliated school, Karen and Megan, who were taking the same course, were quite fed up with her personality. "That Rita, she's a bit too much." "Eh? That Rita?" "Yeah, the one in the same language class. She's totally seeing Sylvia as a rival." "Huh? Me?" "Yeah, she's constantly checking on you, and whenever Sylvia is talking to a guy or hanging out with one, she immediately swoops in and makes her move." "Are you sure?" "I mean, Rita and I hardly interact." "That's not the point. Here's Sylvia, coming from an affiliate school, academically excellent, naturally friendly with everyone, and you've got a ton of friends. Plus, you're secretly popular with the guys, which makes you a complete target for Rita, who's a typical cheerleader type from an all-girls school." No, I'm not popular. And I haven't done anything noticeable to be seen as a rival, right? That's exactly why. You attract people without even trying. It's so frustrating. That's just how she is. And, Sylvia, you really should be careful around Rita." "Huh? Simon's on her radar." "What?" Out of the blue, the name that came up was Simon Brown, whom I've been dating since high school. He's 2 years older, and from my high school days, and now a junior at the same university. Friends who came up from the affiliate schools with us know he's my boyfriend, but I've never talked about him to people I met at university. Why would Rita know about a boyfriend I've never mentioned? That question must have been apparent on my face. Karen and Megan sighed as they spoke. We never even mentioned Sylvia's boyfriend in front of Rita. But, man, the guys talk way too much around Rita. Why are guys so weak around types like Rita? We tried so hard to keep it under wraps, and then those guys just blabbed it all out, and we got some serious glares. Man, those looks she gave us were scary. I see. This conversation had me hooked too. If it was just something being said or done to me, I could ignore it or not notice. But what if it involved my dear boyfriend? To him, Rita is a total stranger, and to me, she's just a distant acquaintance from the same department. What right does such a person have to interfere in a relationship I've cherished since high school? I couldn't just sit still, so I contacted him on my phone. I checked his whereabouts on campus and hurried over. The scene I walked into made me stiffen my expression. Hey, isn't that Sylvia? What's up? Standing a bit too close to him was Rita. Next to her, I saw the relieved expression of my boyfriend. Sylvia, this girl, a friend of yours? Ah, we're in the same department. Rita, something wrong? I just came to scout out Sylvia's famous boyfriend. I was curious to see what kind of wonderful man she was dating. And boy, the rumors are true, he's really handsome and a great guy. Whose rumors, exactly? Rita's radiant presence seemed to overwhelm him. Thanks for that. But Rita, sorry, we actually have plans. Ah. Sylvia, that's cold. Are you calling me a pest? I didn't say that. Hey, don't you think Sylvia's being cold? After all, a friend just wants to get along with her boyfriend. Nobody asked for that, and it's Rita's own business to want to get along. He must have sensed the tension between me and Rita. He pulled me closer to make it clear to Rita. Sorry, I have no intention of getting close to any woman other than Sylvia. Shall we go, he suggested, leading me forward. As I glanced back, I saw Rita's face looking harsher than I'd ever seen before. After that, Rita blatantly clung to him. Regardless of my presence, flaunting her figure in revealing outfits, bad-mouthing me, and unabashedly trying to invite him everywhere. He always acted as if he didn't notice, but it was really hard for me. I love him and want to be by his side. Yet because I'm with him, I've become a huge burden. Sylvia, you shouldn't worry about it. Thanks. But are you sure? Just ignore her. I'd hate it more if I couldn't be with Sylvia because of a girl like that. Saying that, he faced me and stood by my side. Indeed, after the final exams of his junior year, he rarely came to university. As long as he didn't come to campus, he wouldn't meet Rita, and we thought we had regained peaceful days. But that was short-lived. Somehow Rita found out and started working as a newcomer at his part-time job. When I heard that from him, I felt terrified. Really, I'm sorry. It's a nuisance, isn't it? By being with me, he had finally been affected in his daily life. I couldn't stop my tears at that realization. Still, he hugged me tightly and said, I don't think it's a nuisance at all. I chose to be with Sylvia. It's ridiculous that we can't be together because of her. Don't worry. I've made it clear to her, and I'm gonna quit the job. What? I'm gonna change jobs. Actually, I've already found the next one and I'll switch without telling anyone. His hands gently stroked my back as he held me. In his embrace, I cried for a while. Eventually, after he changed his job, it seemed Rita stopped following him. Not only did he change his job, but he apparently gave her a harsh talking to. She was complaining that Simon could sue her for stalking. That's only fair. He was just being patient until now. It's totally reasonable to sue someone like her. Personally, I hardly had classes with Rita after junior year, as we were on different courses, and I rarely saw her on campus. Then, after he started working, his sudden relocation and busy schedule meant he lost the confidence and leisure he once had, and 6.5 years into our relationship, we ended up breaking up in the year I became a working adult. Thinking of the relationship I once had with Rita, who is now beside my ex-husband, I think I must have had a blank expression. My ex-husband asked me for reasons, and I summarized the story I had just remembered for him. Is that really true? Rita? Yeah, all my friends know it too. Sorry, I know she's Kent's colleague, but if possible, I really don't want to meet her. Ah, I see, that makes sense, it's okay, Rita and I aren't that close anyway, I'll just invite my bosses and peers. Saying that, my ex-husband acknowledged my feelings. Yet, despite this, Rita's name was still firmly on the final seating chart for the confirmation. When I asked him, he insisted that he was inviting close acquaintances and couldn't just exclude her, so at my once-in-a-lifetime wedding, I ended up having to meet someone I never wanted to see again. The unexpected appearance of this person left my college friends stiff, especially Karen, who was also a co-worker from the same period, was constantly outraged by my ex-husband's insensitivity. At the wedding ceremony, Rita didn't speak to me but kept throwing sly glances my way. And to my ex-husband next to me, she gave a meaningful glance. Oh, not again. At that moment, I realized my dark married life had begun. Being in sales, our lives didn't change just because we got married. Visits, meetings, business trips, and so on. Just like before our marriage, if we didn't make an effort to find time, we'd continue to live passing by each other. Still, my colleagues in the office and department were considerate towards the newly married me, helping with work during their free time and setting up outside appointments early to assist me. However, despite their help, my ex-husband's time at home became increasingly scarce, and his engagements and business trips started to overlap with weekends. I'll be on a business trip again this weekend. Again? Can't help it. It's just that time in my position. I guess so, but... By the way, Rita was asking if Sylvia is doing well. Rita was? Sylvia, you said that, but she's a good girl, right? Was there really anything like what you mentioned? Unlike before, my ex-husband was falling deeper into Rita's trap. Being assigned to the same tasks and going on frequent business trips together, colleagues who visited my ex-husband's company started commenting, "Isn't your husband always together with that company girl? Isn't that a concern?" During one of my business trips, my ex-husband had started bringing Rita to our home. He must have thought he wasn't getting caught, but Rita is a self-assertive woman. She made sure to leave traces of her presence in the house for me to notice, constantly trying to one-up me. A year into the marriage, the deceit and the strain became too much to bear. If that was the case, I was ready to thoroughly do what needed to be done. With that resolve, I began to set the stage for a divorce. A week after the divorce, my life was going smoothly. The new apartment I rented was just a 15-minute train ride from the office, free from any clutter or irritating junk my ex-husband used to accumulate. A simple, pleasant space. And most importantly, perhaps because I wasn't carrying any burdens anymore, I was sleeping and waking up refreshed. I was really holding a lot of stress. I felt that change within myself again. However, today I had to go meet my ex-husband to return something he forgot during his international business trip. I heard he'd be back in the US by early afternoon, so he should be home by now. As I was thinking about this, my phone on the desk vibrated, displaying my ex-husband's name. I deliberately chose not to respond, and set out for my former home to fulfill my purpose. What's going on here? As I entered the living room using the key I had, my ex-husband suddenly snapped at me. Looking aside, I saw suitcases and bags of souvenirs messily placed around. It was obvious from the way my phone had been vibrating incessantly on my way here. Why are you shouting all of a sudden? I didn't come here to talk to you, I just came to return this spare key. Huh? Why are you returning it? Because this isn't my home anymore. So why? Alright, I'll just leave the key here for now, and what? What do you mean what? Why is Rita in your room? Because she's your wife now. Are you talking nonsense too? It's not nonsense. You divorced me and married her. That's why I left and she's using that room. You should be happy, right? You kept saying you wanted to divorce me and marry her. When did I ever say that? You said it over and over again, in this house, in this living room, in your room. My ex-husband was confused, while Rita argued back, saying, "Yeah, you did say that." At that moment, I pulled out a voice recorder I had brought and pressed play slowly. "Hey, when are you going to leave Sylvia? She keeps clinging on and won't let go, it's so annoying."
How annoying!
"I would divorce her and marry you right now, if I could." "Really?" "Absolutely, Rita is the one for me." "Kent, you really mean that?" "Look." "What?" "These are divorce papers and a marriage certificate?" "Yes, I've already signed them, see?"
Wow! I'm so happy. Can I really submit these? If Sylvia says it's okay, can I go ahead and file them?
Of course, I'd kick her out right now if I could. Upon hearing this conversation, my ex-husband's face turned pale and he clammed up. Listening to this, it should be clear why things turned out this way. "See? You were very clear about it. If Sylvia says it's okay, can I go ahead? And you said of course. And that you wanted to kick me out, so I left. Aren't I considerate? I'm fulfilling my unloved ex-husband's wishes to the letter."
Wait. Why would you do something like that on your own?
Huh? It's not on my own, it's exactly as you declared. Not just now, you've said it many times.
That's right. Just like Sylvia said, Kent, you told me many times. You wanted to divorce Sylvia quickly and remarry me. And then we'd live here together.
Rita supported her claims eagerly. My ex-husband, stunned by Rita's unexpected assertion, then started to get angry.
Rita, just be quiet. This is between Sylvia and me.
Why? Kent, you married me, didn't you? You got rid of the annoying Sylvia, so what's the problem? It's not about that. So what does that mean? Are you not happy, Kent?
Shut up. Just be quiet.
I watched their argument unfold like it was none of my business. Rita seemed puzzled why my ex-husband wasn't as thrilled as she was, considering everything went as they had discussed. Poor Rita. Not that I feel sorry for her, but the thought crossed my mind.
Isn't that a bit harsh? Speaking to your beloved Rita like that? Don't act like you care one bit.
Right, I don't care at all. I don't feel for Rita. But not feeling sorry for Rita doesn't mean I can overlook what you did. You had other people you were messing around with, I can't just ignore that. Rita frowned at my comment. What do you mean? There are other people he's been messing around with? That makes no sense. Rita, he wasn't just involved with you. What? What I mean is, it wasn't just you. What did you say? The voice recorder, I set it up every time he was late coming home from business trips or meetings. Initially, it was just to catch him cheating with you. Luckily, I got that evidence pretty early. But as I kept checking the recorder, it became clear. This guy, he wasn't just involved with you, but with 2 others.
I can't believe it.
Rita was visibly shocked, her mouth agape as she struggled to process the information.
Serves you right.
That was genuinely how I felt. Rita, who had stolen my husband and secured her position as his lawful wife, was supposed to be at the height of her happiness now. That's fine by me. It doesn't matter to me, and even though she was shocked, she had done the same to me calmly. Not only worse, over and over. A part of me felt she should experience some pain. Is that so wrong? Sylvia, did you know about this and keep it from me? Why should I have said anything? After all, you were just like those other women. I was his wife. You were all the rest. I had no obligation to be kind to you.
But we were different, weren't we? We were friends.
Really? Who says that? Could you really say that with a straight face? That must have been evident from my expression. Rita quickly shut up, and my ex-husband watched the scene unfold as if he were just an observer. To the 2 of them, I deliberately spoke with a cheerful tone. Friends, huh? Friends, really? You both thought Rita and I were friends while doing all this? Well,
I initially refused. I couldn't think of doing such a thing with my fiancé's friend, and I didn't want to just go out drinking with her either. But Rita was so insistent. She said she needed to talk about Sylvia, so I reluctantly went to dinner. She tricked me into drinking strong alcohol by saying it was just a soft drink, and then I was taken advantage of. She set up a situation and then blackmailed me.
What?
Why would you say that? Kent, you knew what you were doing when you drank that time. You were just acting like you were dragged into it, but you were fully aware, weren't you? The whole "I was too drunk" act is a lie. You remembered everything. That's because you recorded everything and kept showing it to me over and over. It was all you. That's awful. I thought we could finally be a family. I had just managed to tell this baby in my belly that it was going to have a father.
The ugly quarrel between the foolish couple changed completely with Rita's last remark. It must have been a bolt from the blue. My ex-husband tentatively asked Rita, "Did you say you're pregnant?" "I did." "Does that mean you're pregnant?" "What else would it mean? Whose child is it?"
What? Who else but Kent? Are you saying I cheated with someone else?
Rita, tears welling up in her eyes, cried out in anxiety and frustration. Instead of Rita, who was biting her lip, I interjected unexpectedly. "Just so you know, Rita isn't the type to cheat." "What?" "Sure, what Rita did to me was terrible, and I will never forgive her for this or her past actions. But I know well that Rita is devoted. Maybe it started as rivalry against me, but she truly fell for the man I chose and loved him genuinely, and that's why she was genuinely happy to have married you. Rita, that day when you called, you were happy to have beaten me, but you were crying because you were happy to be with Kent, right?" "Sorry? I've liked Kent even before I knew he was your boyfriend. I thought if we worked at the same company and I was around, maybe there'd be a chance one day. But when I learned Kent was getting married and the bride was you, those feelings from college resurfaced. Back then, you were calm yet had a presence that naturally drew people in, and I admit, I was jealous and messed with you. How could all my efforts not be enough? But even then, I really liked you as a person, and in the end, I realized I couldn't compete with you. This time too, I finally met someone who could return my feelings even if they weren't initially inclined to, and it turns out he was engaged to you again. I honestly thought, not again. But this time, I couldn't give him up, no matter the risk. I decided to go through with it without any regrets. And you ended up pregnant. I was happy. You couldn't have his child, but I could. That alone made me so happy. Kent also said he wanted to divorce you quickly and be with me. He even prepared the papers. So that call from you that day, I was truly, truly happy. Happy. But to hear there were others." Rita collapsed crying, hand on her belly, tears streaming down her face. She must be really scared. But there's nothing I can do for her. Not a thing. Kent. What? Take responsibility, all right? That's your child. You have a duty as a father.
What? Thrown this at me all of a sudden, I can't even process it. What? It's the same for a woman, you know? What, you think it's okay if it's the mother? Don't be spoiled. Being pregnant means it's not just her body anymore. Even if Rita looks fine, she's pregnant with your child, feeling sick and tired every day, carrying a little life inside her alone. This isn't the time for you to be calling up someone for your kinky pleasures. What?
Who is someone? My ex-husband's face turned bright red, and Rita looked bewildered. They probably didn't expect the word someone to come up. Their changing expressions were amusing. Yeah. This guy, seems he has a penchant for kinks, and to satisfy those, he's been calling his favorite person to our home. I've got all sorts of evidence recorded on the voice recorder. But really, it's too vile to even speak about, so I'll keep the details to myself.
Sylvia. You absolutely must not speak of this.
As if I'd want to talk about it anyway. To think that a man I'd been with for years had such tastes. Just knowing it is a black mark on his record. It's good to have something that can be used as leverage, isn't it?
What?
I guess we're done here. To me, you and Rita are both the lowest of the low. A pervert and a stalker woman, you're pretty much the same.
What?
People who are the lowest of the low might as well stick together, right? You could forgive everything and be best friends, or Rita can just use her kinky escorts to get relief while she's pregnant, or you can keep fighting, just do whatever you like from here on. Anyway, do your best. I turned to leave, stepping toward the front door, when my ex-husband desperately pleaded with me.
Sylvia, wait. I never wanted to break up with you. I took you for granted, thinking you'd forgive me in the end. That wasn't really how I felt.
Disgusted by his pleading, I turned back to face him. His desperate expression and bloodshot eyes trying to convey his sincerity, I sighed softly and responded. Sorry, but we are already divorced. Legally, we're complete strangers now. There's no chance of getting back together, and honestly, I never want to deal with you again. If it's about money, why don't you ask Rita? She's working, so she can figure something out.
Sylvia!
You're only clinging to me because of money, right? That's just pathetic, you know. Rita, who had been silently watching, threw a very reasonable question my way. Hey, what's this about money? It seemed Rita was genuinely clueless. This guy has a gambling problem. Gambling? Yep, horse racing and even sports betting. He's been working for over 10 years and has zero savings. Sometimes he even dips into the household money, and he's struggled to pay off debts before.
What?
I guess he never told you. I only found out after we got married, and I felt completely deceived.
Sylvia!
What? It's the truth, isn't it? Well, Rita, now that you're his wife, you should know this too. He'd probably keep it a secret forever if he could, so it's important you know. I glanced at their stunned faces one last time and then headed for the door. No one was going to stop me this time. I opened the door to a world that was too bright outside, and stepping out, I felt the light warmly embrace me. Goodbye. The door shut behind me, cutting off the noisy inside. A year later. I was still living alone in my new home, enjoying my peace. I still had the post-divorce procedures left over, and today was the last day. I checked online that it was complete and let out a small sigh. It had been a long journey. Today, I finally ended my relationship with my ex-husband for good. I might have looked particularly relieved because Karen, who had come with me to a cafe for a lunch break, while she eats pasta and asked with a curious look. What's with you? You look especially refreshed today. Can you tell? Of course, I can. I've seen your face more than your ex-husband ever did. That makes sense. Today, all of things was done. Ah, I see, so you're finally free from that man. Exactly, it felt like the ties were never fully cut. It was bothering me. Got it. So today is truly a day of goodbye. Yeah, it is. Karen looked at me with kind eyes as I got a bit sentimental. I suddenly remembered similar times from our college days. Speaking of which, I heard Rita's baby was born. Yeah, I heard that too. In the end, those two are still together as a couple, huh? Even that heartless man couldn't abandon a pregnant woman. I actually heard that Rita took on all his debts, and now he can't look down on her. What? Seriously? A coworker who goes in and out of their department told me that. They heard it from someone in the same department as those two. That person came to your wedding, right? Yeah. One of my colleagues said, "How is Kent's ex-wife doing?" Everyone's worried about you. That's why they shared such an embarrassing story. Maybe. She's been doing quite well with investments and managed to gather a considerable amount of money.
Wow. Isn't that impressive?
That's right. Like Karen, I was surprised when I heard it. Who knew Rita had such capabilities? I'd like him to learn from Rita. But it must be awkward, huh? Everyone around you must think, didn't that coworker who just went to the wedding end up in an affair with a colleague, got her pregnant, was dumped by his wife, and then remarried? Sounds like something out of a soap opera.
Karen, come on.
As she playfully stuck out her tongue and apologized, Karen was probably trying to cheer me up with jokes about my overly dramatic situation. It's such an unusual story, don't worry about it. Her smile seemed to say those words, and I truly appreciated her support. Well, I guess I'll take this story to work and plow ahead. No, take some time off to have fun. You're still 30, and it's a waste for someone who looks like you to be too serious. Really? Yeah. Oh. Have you decided what to do because all done? Well, yes, I feel I want to spend a lot of money. You know? I get it. But I don't want to spend it on something that lasts. It might remind you of the past, huh? Exactly, so how about this, Karen, let's go on a trip. What?
Let's enjoy a luxurious overseas trip.
Are you serious?
Yes, let's bring Megan too, the three of us together. Wow. I'm actually getting excited here. Sylvia, let's go all out. Forget being serious, let's just go wild. Right?
Karen was so excited she almost forgot about her pasta, asking, where should we go? Hey, where should we go? As I checked the time and realized our lunch break was almost over, we both hurriedly ate our pasta. As Karen and I walked side by side back to the office, her face was lit up with her usual smile. It made me think about how much that smile had supported me since our college days, and I felt a warm gratitude wash over me. Karen. Thank you. What for? Don't be so formal, we've both given each other strength, don't forget that. At 30. I may have lost a life partner, but I've gained lifelong friends who'll always be by my side. My life is far from over. I bet Karen would tease me again for being too serious if she knew what I was thinking. With these thoughts, I headed back to work for the afternoon.